Today on The Healthy View, we'll be talking about the pros and cons of intermittent fasting in order to help you figure out if it's worth a try. Welcome to The Healthy View. Today we're going to help you weigh the pros and cons of intermittent fasting. I'm Lewtan, and I'm here today with Andrea Beaman and Pfennighaus. We are expert health coaches who've collectively helped thousands, no, tens of thousands of women around the world to get healthier and happier while staying sane and having fun. So, are you intrigued with intermittent fasting? I know not a day goes by that one of my clients or friends or relatives asks me what I think about it. And it's strange because we've heard for just about forever that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, right? And now all of a sudden we're being told that we're supposed to skip breakfast entirely and instead drink lots of coffee and not eat until lunchtime. Yes, this is another thing to be confused about. So we're here to tell you that there's more to it with intermittent fasting, and there's lots of ways to make it work for you. We're here to help you understand it better and see if you can fit this practice into your life. Andrea, what are your thoughts on intermittent fasting?
Me? You're going to me? All right, I'll take it. I am actually a really big fan of fasting. If you look at all of the religions around the world, there was always some type of fasting that was done every year, and sometimes even a couple of times a year. So the Jews, like you would know, and I know, we grew up like this, right? They fast around Yom Kippur. The Christians, I also know this, half Jewish, half Catholic, right? Christians fasted around Lent. The Orthodox Greeks fast for 30 days, right? They take out everything, all animal foods. And then the Muslims fast for Ramadan. The Jains, you know the Jains, they fast when they are ready to die, actually. They do something called fasting to death, which I don't actually recommend right now while we're still alive. But then there's also shamanism and the fasting that's done when someone goes on a vision quest to gain insight on who they are and what they're supposed to be doing in the world. Now, I want to preface what I'm about to say by saying that I'm not actually a religious person. I don't fast for religious reasons, but I completely understand the concept of fasting from an energetic perspective to ready the body for not only better health, but for spiritual guidance and deeper answers. So what does this have to do with your weight and your health and all of that, right? You're thinking, what the heck is she talking about?
What the heck is she talking about?
What the heck are you talking about?
She just went off into a whole nother planet. Physically, when we fast, the body starts to clean itself, so to speak. It scavenges sugar. It scavenges old cells and molecules that we're not using. It breaks them down for fuel to use for the energy in the body. And then once the body cleans itself, so to speak, it becomes an empty vessel. Now, I'm sure you guys have studied meditation and you understand the concept of the empty vessel. They're always telling you in meditation, empty yourself, empty your vessel. So fasting literally and physically empties the vessel. So it's only when your vessel is empty that it can be filled with the spiritual support and the guidance that you need. So this happens because your energy is no longer focused on the breakdown of food and you become more receptive to universal guidance. So some examples: Jesus fasted for 40 days, right? In the desert. Moses fasted before he went up to the mountain to get the commandments. Thou shalt not kill, everybody, right? All that stuff. And I personally fast every single year in the spring for about 3 days. And it's for physical reasons, but also emotional and spiritual reasons. And I also, at other times of the year, fast as well, because if I'm stuck energetically, I fast to clear my vessel so I can open up to the guidance that I need, and the inspiration and the thoughts come very quickly. I find clarity in that stuff. So I know that there's all this information about intermittent fasting. That's the modern terminology for it, but human beings have been fasting for thousands of years. And personally, I fast every single day for 14 to 16 hours, every day. So I usually finish my last meal around 7 p.m. and then don't eat again until 9 or 10 a.m. the following morning. So this leaves literally my vessel empty for my morning meditation. So I know that there are people say, oh, you should meditate in the afternoon, you should meditate in the evening. I find that my best meditation comes when I wake up and I'm just empty. There's emptiness there, like physical emptiness. So I think personally that intermittent fasting is great for people. Modern people are doing it for the physical benefits, but far beyond the physical, there are many much deeper benefits that someone can gain from intermittent fasting or fasting. They could gain it on the emotional, the energetic, and the spiritual level as well. As far as the cons, I think honestly that we eat far too much food in general. It's the cause of most of our health problems and our disease across the board. So no cons from me on fasting. It's actually all pros.
All right.
Wow.
Thank
How
you for
about
that,
you,
Andrea.
Michelle? What do you think?
Well, I'm going to bring it maybe back down into the kitchen, right? So we went to the mountain, we got the commandments. I think intermittent fasting is a pretty simple concept. Although when I first heard people were doing it, I'm like, whoa, what is that? What's this new crazy thing? But it's not, like Andrea said, it's not new at all. It's a very natural rhythm for the human body. And you just get a break between eatings. You're not always, putting something in your pie hole. And we already do this. This is the good news. All of us, not just Andrea, because we sleep at night. We already give ourselves somewhat of a break. There are people who wake up in the middle of the night and eat. What is that? Night eating syndrome. But for most of us, there's 8 hours, let's say, of not eating right there. So then with intermittent fasting, we just extend the window to 12 or more hours. So it could be, like Andrea described, you eat dinner at 7 and then you don't eat breakfast until probably 7, maybe 8 in the morning. That would be 13-hour fast. So it's not as extreme as it might sound. And there's actually some really good research showing positive benefits of this type of fasting. So we know it can improve insulin resistance. It can help us lose stubborn weight. It can reduce inflammation. And a lot of people say it gives them more clarity of mind, gets rid of some of the fatigue and brain fog. So it's all good things. We don't need to be eating 24 hours a day, right? Who would have guessed it with the Starbucks on every corner? We don't actually have to be snacking. But I do think there are some potential downsides. So with any diet, it can be too restrictive, just depending on who you are. Like, for example, anyone who has suffered with an eating disorder in the past might want to tread gently on this idea of restricting when they're eating, right? But again, if you feel like it's too restrictive, know that you can have these benefits even if you intermittent fast 1 day a week, 2 days a week. It's not like you have to do it every single day to get the benefits. And the other downside to this sort of eating style, as with any eating style, is that let's say you're following the rules, you're restricting the hours that you're eating, but then when you do eat, you're eating 3 bags of Doritos. Like, that's not going to work. You're not going to get positive results that way. It's like a vegetarian that eats French fries. So even if you're not eating junk food, but you're eating oatmeal, beans, white rice, you still may find it a little bit difficult or uncomfortable to sustain yourself from the evening, into the late morning. So I think it's important to pay attention to your balance of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats to really make your fast most comfortable and sustainable for you. And the only other reasons I can think to not go this route would be if you're pregnant, if you're breastfeeding, or if you're dealing with low adrenal function, low thyroid function. Not necessarily that you have to avoid it, but you want to be careful in those cases because it could be interpreted as a state of famine in the body. Like, oh no, I'm hungry, I'm not getting food. And that would just further inhibit your adrenal and thyroid function. So those would be the cons for me.
So I have a whole other perspective on intermittent fasting because I wake up really early and I love that coffee, like first thing in the morning, but I can't drink coffee on an empty stomach or I get a bad stomach ache. So I have to eat something early, which makes it really hard to wait till 9 or 10 because I wake up at 5:30 or 6 in the morning. So what I do, maybe 2 days a week, 3 days a week, it depends how motivated I am. I stop eating at 3. So I'll eat at like 6, I'll eat at 11, I'll eat at 3, and then I'm done. So I've gotten in 3 meals, but it gives my body a longer time on the other side. And many women struggle with not eating breakfast, and they go, I could never try that. And so this is a great option. Now, the problem is it makes it really hard to have a social life because most people don't want to go out to dinner with you at 3 o'clock. So
Early bird. They get
this
the
is a
early
real
bird
problem.
special.
Yeah, you are the diner.
I already have cut off half of my friends who like to eat at 8 because I'm like, oh, you know, so they go out early at 7 for me, but it's my big secret that I really like to eat dinner at 3 or 4. So this is something you can play around with. And again, to reiterate what Michelle and Andrea said, you're really shortening the window. And it doesn't matter what time you start or finish as long as the window is shorter to give your body that time to really digest and regenerate. And I have to say that the mornings that I've stopped eating earlier, I feel amazing in the morning. I feel really great. And it is something that I think it can't hurt to try, right? The other thing that works really well for a lot of my clients is it gives them boundaries, and it just says, oh, I stop eating at this time. No matter what that time is, I'm not going to snack, I'm not going to graze, I'm not going to like pick after that time. I am done. So those are my thoughts on intermittent fasting.
Thank you all for watching. Please give us a like if you found this episode helpful. And if you want to get notified when our next episode drops, head on over to healthyviewshow.com and we'll hook you up.